Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Tamara Beckford Show. Alrighty, I am, as usual, super excited to have one of my guests on today. She is a friend of mine. We've met in real life, IRL, for all our millennials, the super millennials. I don't know which generation we are in right now, but we're learning all about the lingo. So we met in real life, and she is a super sweet, and I love, love, love her story. I only got a smidget because she saved most of it for today's episode, which is all about from pandemic struggles to thriving entrepreneurship. So if you have been through the depths of burnout and just feeling like, oh my gosh, I was in the deepest and darkest moments, today's episode is for you. And we're going to learn some of the things that our wonderful doc did to pull herself up, to find that revigorated spirit, and then how she's using that to help others. Because you know how all of our docs do, they not only figure it out for themselves and they don't keep it to themselves. They're like, how can I help others to find the same joy that I found, right? So I'm super excited. Now, before we get started, I know some of you are like, oh, there we go, Dr. Beckford. Right in the middle of the day, knowing that I have a case or knowing that I got to go meet off with a patient or I have a super important meeting, I'm not going to be able to catch all of this interview. Have no fear. You can go to our Your Caring Docs website, URCARINGDOCS.com, select podcast, download this wonderful episode because you're going to see our doctor's face on it. Easy to remember, and then you'll be able to catch it all. If you're a doctor and you're like, I want to jump on that podcast too, I'm like, okay, come on down. Just send me an email at drbeckford@yourcaredocs.com to book. Keep in mind, we are booked out 3 months in advance. And you're like, well, why are you booked out 3 months in advance? You'll see today because of awesome doctors like this one, right? So let's get this part started. Now, my wonderful sister doc, she's a graduate of Madras Medical College in India. Then from there, she did her internal medicine residency in San Joaquin General Hospital in Stockton, California. And not just that, after taking care of multiple patients for many, many years, she's like, you know what? I want to broaden my scope. I want to be able to take care of more people. So she went and did a fellowship in integrative medicine at the Andrew Weil Center of Integrative Medicine, University of Arizona. She is certified in clinical hypnosis, which I just found out. And mind you, I saw this lady a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, what? You can do all of these wonderful things? Clinical hypnosis. She's trained in medical acupuncture. She's also trained in hard math biofeedback. All of this wonderful training that she has, the integrative medicine, and all this love that she has for it, she has put it together in her wonderful, wonderful business, which is called Your Integrative Medicine. She is the CEO and founder of that. She's passionate about all elements of integrated medicine, including nutrition, lifestyle, supplement, botanicals, mind body feedback, alternative medicine, all of it all. And we're going to find out the story of how all of this came together right here today, right here on the Dr. Tamara Beckford Show. You're probably wondering, who am I talking about? I'm talking about the one and only Dr. Malathi
Oh,
Acharya.
thank you, Dr.
Woo!
Beckford. That was a super exciting introduction, and I am all pumped. I'm excited and thrilled to be here with you having this conversation.
I am too. You know, I love you so much. Like I said, we got to meet in person a couple weeks ago. You were able to join us we're part of the HMD Business School. And, I love seeing you're just like such a ray of sunshine with so many great tips, so many great information. So, this particular interview, I am excited to have you on. Now,
Thank
I'm
you.
going to dig all in and find out all about Dr. Malathi. First, I want to know what made you go into medicine in the first place?
That the answer to that question is really simple. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
my mother and father are physicians; they're doctors, and I
Mm-hmm.
grew up. I'm from India, born and raised in India,
Mm-hmm.
and they both were doctors, and I have not seen anything else growing up. So that was my path from the very beginning. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember, my mom had her own practice.
Mm.
And she was a female physician, so all the women really wanted to come to her, and her timing of her practice was right in the middle of the day when the women would finish cooking for the morning
Ah.
lunch. And then they would have a
Mm-hmm.
little break before the evening hits them and they have to start cooking again. And her clinic time would be right in that time. Okay. So she would
Ooh.
also finish her stuff. Her patients would also be able to have that free time and come to her. And my mom, her patients, all her patients lived around in that area. So they treated her
Mm-hmm.
like a friend, mentor, this really
Ooh.
important person. And they would invite her to the house when they had weddings in the family and they would show all the saris and jewelry. Now, mind you, I come from India, the land of silk saris and jewelry, okay, especially the southern
Oh.
part of India where I'm from. So they would, if there's a wedding in the family, but they would invite my mom and show her, yo, this is what we got, saris. And I would go with my mom to those
Mm.
visits, and I would think, it's really cool to be a doctor. You get to go to people's houses and look at saris and silk saris and jewelry. So I remember how that thought was, well, stuck in my head when then, in real sense, it was I had not seen any, I was not exposed to any other profession. So I became a doctor.
Mhm. I love it.
Yeah.
But I love the importance of there are a couple beautiful moments that you just mentioned. One is I saw my mom doing it, so I'm like, okay, I can do it. And then I loved how your mom was so thoughtful about her practice. She recognized around where she was, the environment, and how she can best serve her patient population. And it says, well, we know that they still need the care, but they understand traditionally they're going to be cooking at this time. So I'm opening up my clinic for someone who needs me during the time that they are unable they're unable to come to see me. That's not going to work. And then I also love the fact that it's not that you're seeing how medicine was when the doctor patient relationship was way extended, way more than just this paternalistic type of thing. Do this, do that. It's my doctor, let me show her, come and see all the things that I can do now since I am healthy. Because if you really think about it, that's what's happening. Your mom is helping the women to stay healthy in the community. And as a result, they're saying, come and watch me. Look at all the things that I can do because I'm healthy, because you've kept me healthy. And so I think it's just a beautiful combo. And looking at the pretty, pretty saris at the same time. How wonderful. How wonderful. Alrighty. So, now this is imprinted in your mind. Yes, I want to be a doctor. So then you decided in the different specialty, or, you're there, you got into medical school, which is no hard feat for anyone. Lots of hard work to get to that point. And you chose internal medicine. So tell me, what made you choose that specialty?
You know, I I'm a thinking person.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot. I analyze things. So from I'm a slow thinker, and
Mm-hmm.
I cannot think of any other field that suited me as much as internal medicine, where we have to
Mm-hmm.
really analyze, think, put
Mm-hmm.
together what's going on with the patient in front of us, and then uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know make a stepwise plan to problem solve for them. I it's just Internal medicine just suited me for the person and the personality that I had, so that's
I
why I
love it.
gravitated towards internal medicine.
I
i'm
love it.
not
And
I,
that's
I'm
so
not a very
important.
procedure oriented person, and
Hmm.
I don't relish that fast pace. I relish the pace
Hmm.
that internal medicine offers.
I love it. And that's important when we make decisions that are so that are an integral part of what our life will be, right? I recognize that for me, this is how I am. This is a profession that I want to embark in and have for at least many decades of my life. In order for me to do that, I have to figure out what is it that's important to me and what parts of the profession goes with my personality so that I can love what I'm doing, right? because that's so important. so,
So it fits
so I
like a
love it.
glove, right? So it fits like a
Yes.
hand in a glove. So
I love it. So you're there and you've chosen internal medicine, you're in the profession, but life, life becomes life, such as we're there for many years. And then all of a sudden, this bug comes out of nowhere that no one knows about. It's called COVID, the coronavirus, and it causes a big upheaval in people's lives. Tell us how that affected you and how you dealt with this portion, which we call the pandemic struggles.
yeah, yeah. My
Mhm,
career in internal medicine, started off with me working as a hospitalist for nine
mhm,
years, and
mhm,
and then I transitioned to primary care because I found the schedule of a hospital is tough and challenging. So I became a primary care physician. I was
mhm,
beginning to settle into at my job as a primary care physician, but there are a few things that kept nagging me. One
mhm,
was I was, approaching 50 and I had this nagging sense of lack of achievement, that I have
mm,
not done anything in my professional life so far. And, you know, I, the, I found the type of, medicine I was practicing was very skewed. It was very skewed towards disease and treating the
mhm,
disease. There
mm,
was not much focus on wellness and prevention. All of our
mm.
paradigms were disease oriented. Okay.
Yeah.
So if they didn't fit into any diseases, I really felt that didn't have much to offer, even in terms of symptom management. And that really bothered me. And,
Mhm,
I had a relatively younger panel of patients. Um, and they would always keep asking me, what can I do naturally to get better? How can I adjust my diet to help this symptom? Yes, I
mhm.
was able to give them some guidance, but I was not satisfied with the type of answers I was giving them. And this was around the time that the pandemic hit us. And I really felt that what I was practicing was not giving me any meaning or purpose,
Right.
and
You
it
need to
was
dig
just
deeper.
contribute. Yeah. And
Yes.
it just contributed this feeling of, I understood why I was having that feeling of lack of achievement. It's not that I
Mm,
have not done anything, but it's just that I wanted to do something more and I wasn't able to the way
yes.
I was. And that led me to look for, search for, and I found this integrative medicine fellowship program. Now, in the
Mhm.
pandemic, people, you would expect that people put a lot of things on hold because of the uncertainty and everything. Um,
Absolutely.
but what I did was I took this unusual step and I said, you know what, I wanted to do this. I've committed. Let me just go ahead and start the fellowship. And full this was a online fellowship with over 1,000 hours of curriculum, and I did that while I was doing a full-time job as a primary care physician
Mm,
during one of the toughest times. And I
yes.
will tell you that what I learned step by step in my fellowship actually helped me
Mhm,
survive, you know, keep my head up
mhm.
and help me so that I could help my patients. So,
Wow.
as I was going through the curriculum, chapter
Mhm,
by chapter, I remember distinctly these steps. There was one chapter on meditation, specifically prayer meditation, where they talk about the effectiveness of prayer meditation, and and
mhm.
it would say that, every unit will say, hey, you know what, try this. It would want us to put that into practice and come back and report back at the end of the unit. So,
Yes.
I started doing this prayer meditation. That was the time when, the pandemic had started and travel between India and the US was pretty much shut down. I never dreamt that that would come to. My parents
Mhm,
live in India, and it was
mhm,
this feeling of fear that the travel was shut down and how are they going to be and all that. And in that, I remembered that my mom would, in my native language, Tamil, my mom would say a prayer every day.
mhm.
So I said, you know what? Let me say that. Let me start doing that. And all I did was I pulled up a YouTube video, and every morning, I would listen, put my AirPods on and listen to that prayer in Tamil. And
Mm.
as I would listen, I would remember, I would visualize. I mean, the vision will come. I didn't have of my mom saying that prayer every day, and as I was growing up, and I felt this
Mm.
connection to her, even though I was so physically separated with everything going on around us. I felt this connection and comfort every morning,
Yes.
and
How
I did that.
powerful.
Yeah, and I did that meditation when, in the morning when my mind, I don't know how many patients I'm going to get today. I know who I'm going to see. I don't know what they're going to have. I don't know what problem.
Uh,
Instead of all that, it was this calming prayer meditation that was so grounding for me. I
yes.
felt the power of the meditation. And this
Mm-hmm.
can be any type of meditation. So, it just
Mm-hmm.
happened to be a prayer meditation for me, but, I felt
Yeah.
the power.
Of it. And what I love about what you're even talking about is especially as you describe, this is when the mind was at its worst, when it was tangled and it's throwing everything at you to increase anxiety, increase doubt, increase fear. And you were able to use this meditation, and which is a form of, we notice, a form of self-care, to ground yourself. So you grounded your mind and you took control, like we always say, like, that you tamed that untamed mind that was trying to get your day to start off with uncertainty, high anxiety levels, and you were able to calm it down. Now tell me, how did your days end up being from you just taking those simple steps to do that meditation early in the morning before you went out towards your day?
It was incredibly grounding because
Yes.
my mind was not running away with those useless thoughts. Now,
Yes.
we can't distinguish often what is imagination and what is live in terms of thoughts. So when the thoughts
Mm-hmm.
hit us, our body starts reacting, the sympathetic system starts firing. And
Mm-hmm.
this incredible practice of silencing that, taking the time, listening, recalling happy memories of secure times growing up as a child, all of that
Mm-hmm.
was very grounding for me. So I was starting with a clear, fresh
Yes.
mind with no
Yes.
preconceived ideas and notions of how that day was going to be. And I felt like I was ready to help my patients, and patients needed my help at that time. So,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was able to be there for them.
I love it. Now, that is incredibly powerful. And that's a powerful tool for anyone who's listening. And doing it at the beginning of the day, in order for, I call it, so that you can enter into your day versus having your day enter into you. So those, like, powerful thoughts, you are controlling how your day will be by not having your day enter into you. What do I mean by enter into you? Oh my gosh, you have all these things to do. Do you see how it's going on? La 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 la. Quiet it down with these thoughts, with this technique. And then you can now take control of the day that you want, not the day that's going to happen to you, the day that you're going to make happen. I love it. I love it. So, what are some of the other things? So, you said now, as you're learning these things through your integrative medicine fellowship, you're like, oh, let me try this, let me try that. I'm trying this. They said, try the meditation. You did it. And you're like, this is powerful. It's keeping me connected with my mom, who is miles away, not millions, but thousands,
Thousands of miles
thousands of
away.
miles away during a time of a lot of uncertainty. But I'm able to now ground myself. What are some of the other things that you also notice? And you're also being able to add more tools in your toolbox to help your patient population, which, was one of the biggest joys of you entering and learning these additional skill sets. So tell us some more. I'm
Absolutely.
excited.
Nutrition. Because
Mm,
then we moved on to nutrition, and, you know, l- making small changes like changing from refined grains to whole grains, you
mhm,
know, adding greens to the diet a little more consistently, knowing about why I needed to eat vegetables and what type, and looking for the variety and adding them to the diet,
Mm-hmm.
changing meal times, just making small adjustments to the meal time. These, just these small changes made a powerful impact on how I felt, physically, how I felt, because nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
what we eat,
Mm-hmm.
affects our body and mind in so many ways. Now,
Absolutely.
we can often understand the physical aspect of it, but believe me, the mental aspect of what we eat is understated and understood. So,
Mm.
just making these switching on to these subtle healthier changes had a profound effect on my health. And it's not only that, it had a same effect on the health of my family, because we are
Wow.
all consuming
Goodness.
the same meals, right? So
Absolutely.
the nutrition so powerful. Then we
Mm-hmm.
started learning about mind body interventions, and I started doing yoga.
Yeah.
Now, where I was working, all these meditation and yoga classes would be diligently offered as part of wellness programs, but they would either be at lunchtime or the evening, and I scrupulously stayed away from them because I was really
Mm-hmm.
upset that, it was taking away my lunchtime or my evening time. But then, when I started reading about mind, body, and yoga, I actually uh, went out and started learning yoga.
Mm.
And any of these mind body exercises like yoga and tai chi, they are not only physical, but they also help with focus and breath. And the
Yes.
combination of all three is very powerful. And
Mm.
as we go through that, I learned how I was when I started doing yoga, when I started doing a pose, how unstable, unbalanced, I was not able to hold anything. And as I kept doing the yoga, I saw how I was making progress
Mm.
physically, mentally, and while trying to get and hold that pose and focusing on the breathing, I was able to make adjustments to my, which muscles are tight, which muscles are loose. There's a lot we learn when we focus inwards.
Yes. That's true.
And and I would I would make physical advances, and that would give me the mental strength. If I can improve in the way I'm doing this asana,
Mm-hmm.
I can take up any challenge and I can face this pandemic and whatever I needed to do. So it translated to
Wow.
me to mental courage.
Yes.
You know, it gave me a lot of physical stamina I needed to put in that 11, 12 hours of work, patient care, and it gave me
Mm-hmm.
physical stamina. And I'll tell you the best of all, the
Mm-hmm.
fact, it was not easy to make time for yoga in the morning. Believe me, I
That's
mean, it
true.
was not easy. I had to carve it out. The times when we briefly had virtual clinics twice a week, on those days I started the yoga because I didn't have to commute to work. So I used that extra time
Yes.
for yoga. And then once I got into the habit, I somehow stuck to it. You know, there were so many things I had to do
Mm.
before the class so that I could finish the class and get to work on time. So,
Mm-hmm.
but the fact that I put in so much effort, I cared enough about myself to
Mm-hmm.
create the 1 hour yoga time for me in the morning was the most powerful thing that refilled my compassion cup. Nothing else.
Oh,
The fact that
wow.
I showed myself that compassion and I went through the effort of carving out that 1 hour and doing yoga
Mm-hmm.
made me more compassionate towards my
Isn't
patient.
that interesting? And that's, what I love about what you're stating is usually our mind wants to tell us it's the opposite. Having compassion for others means that you're just consistently giving, but taking a time for yourself is meaning, it gives a meaning to, well, if you're taking it for yourself, then that means you're not being compassionate to others. But as you have proven that the more compassion you have for yourself, the bigger the compassion you're able to have for others, because it
Yes,
starts within.
absolutely.
It
Yes.
starts within. Wow. I love it.
If I didn't care for myself, how could I care for others? I have to care
Absolutely.
for myself first.
Absolutely. Wow. So as you're going through all of these tenets, you're realizing that your strength and your stamina came from within. Courage, clarity came also from within. And being able to be steadfast, to quiet the external noise, which brought in a certain level of inner strength and therefore compassion. You recognize the compassion that you had for yourself, which increased tenfold the compassion that you were able to give to your patients. So how did your patients start to realize this, like you're on this journey, like wow, this is great? How did your patients start, what were their reflections to you as you were on this journey? Because I know you were, as you're doing it, you're there teaching, because I know you, Malati, you're not going to hold this to yourself.
You, you know, the greatest thing was that, patients in the outpatient world, primary care, the what patients need from us is very different from what a hospital, based
Absolutely.
physician, what patients needed from me. So
Mm-hmm.
as I learned all of these things, and as I took care of myself and as practice, I came from a position of practice. I was able to talk to them as a
Mm-hmm.
practitioner of all these habits rather
Yes.
than just relating knowledge, right? So
Yes.
I came from a place of practice, and I was calm. There was a lot of stress. There's no doubt
Absolutely.
about that. But I was
Yes.
able to maintain a certain. I was definitely less reactive
Yes.
in my
Mm-hmm.
days. I was
Yeah.
definitely
You
less
can just
reactive, and I was able to
respond and not react. Yes.
respond and not react. I was less
Mm-hmm.
reactive and able to, even though the appointments were only 10, 12 minutes, I was able to focus at my attention and give them, and I was able to explain things to them in a way that I was never able to do before. And that really thrilled me. And my patients felt it,
Mm-hmm.
those little nutritional advice that I would give my patients with diabetes, what it will help fine tune their sugar and bring their A1C down. It would work, and they would be very thrilled. And, nutrition has to be culturally conscious. We
Yes.
can't,
Absolutely.
when we give, because people don't eat what they don't like to eat. So I have to
Absolutely.
be able to give them a culturally conscious advice, and I was able
Mm-hmm.
to do that much, much better. And I felt that it increased the bonding to my patients.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know, I felt that that's my strength and that's my purpose. Whereas I was evaluating other options of what should I do? Should I leave clinical medicine or what I do? This fellowship and the change that I felt as I went through and practiced what I did, I felt in that room with the patient was where I was meant to be, and I was helping
Mm.
them the most, and that gave me a lot of meaning.
Mm.
So I felt that the bond increased, the stress between the patients and me went down, and the bonding increased.
Isn't that
And
so powerful?
it
It sounds
is
like
it
it's
is
such
very powerful.
a beautiful flow of energy. And you said even though the time frame, and it shows the time frame was the same, but the flow of energy was different. The outcome, the response, them learning just these little additional tidbits, and then seeing the huge impact that it made on their life. I can just imagine how much exciting it was on both ends.
you know by the time I was 1 year into this fellowship, I knew this is the type of medicine I wanted to practice. But it
Mm,
also clarified in my mind that I want to practice medicine, I want to help
yes.
people this way, and
Hmm.
this is the type of medicine that I want to practice.
I love it.
That's
All right.
spirituality for me, right? Finding the
Yes.
meaning, purpose, and joy in
Yeah, because
what
as
we
we
do.
mentioned initially, when what you saw where your mom was practicing that type of medicine, there was a lot of joy. And you can tell there was a lot of joy because think about how you feel. And well, number one, you went into this. You decided to be a doctor too. And number two, the way that you felt about it, there was a lot of joy. It was communal, it was a community. You felt the happiness, and I see it in your face when you're describing, what made you decide to go into medicine after seeing mom live medicine. So that same joy and happiness, that feeling that you have when you picture, what made me do medicine, you found it in this integrative medicine. And so you're like, this is it. I know that medicine is something that I want to practice, but I want to do it in a way that makes me feel that I'm having the impact that I want on the patients. And I'm able to integrate all these parts of me, because these were all within you from before. But now, this integrative medicine course, the fellowship, it just reaffirmed and it added to everything that you had inside you and said that this is what I want. Like you said, the spirituality, the nutrition, the bonding, everything. I love it. I love it. I love it. All righty. I have another question. So you're there now, and you did you after this integrative medicine fellowship, did you have that turmoil? Should I stay? Should I go? Should I stay? Should I go in medicine? Am I going to continue practicing the way that I did before? Or am I going to stay and incorporate this? How can I incorporate this? How am I going to do this? Can I incorporate this working for someone else? Am I going to be able to incorporate it working for someone else? What do I need to do? Tell me what was going on through your mind during that time.
So it was very clear to me that I wanted to practice medicine and I wanted to practice integrative medicine. And
Mm-hmm.
and I know that I realized that the only way I could do this was to start my own practice. So I left my
Mm.
employee position and I
Mm-hmm.
started my own practice, Ayur Integrative Medicine.
So tell us
And
why Ayur. Why did we name it Ayur?
Ayur means life in Sanskrit. So in the
Mm.
ancient Indian language of Sanskrit, Ayur means life.
Love it.
Ayurveda actually means that it's the knowledge or
Why
wisdom
am
of
I just
life.
realizing that Ayurveda? I did not catch that. Say
So
that
I want
again.
Ayur means knowledge. So Ayurveda means the wisdom of life. So I wanted, so everything is
Yes.
about health, wellness, and life. So I,
Yes.
it was very apt for me in my mind to name my practice Ayur, which means life, wellness,
Mm.
health,
Mm-hmm.
wellness, life. And, my practice is called Ayur Integrative Medicine. I'm based in the Bay Area. I have three locations in the Bay Area: Pleasanton, Portola Valley, and Menlo Park. And
Mm-hmm.
I help cancer survivors. Um, I also help South Asians with heart and metabolic health.
Mm-hmm.
These are, I feel, two areas where um, taking care of the whole person, which is what integrative medicine is about. It's taking
Mm-hmm.
care of the mind, body, emotions, and spirit. And
Mm.
you applying traditional methods, allopathic medicine, as well as an intelligent combination of traditional as well as complementary treatments
Mm-hmm.
to personalized for a whole person care. That's what I believe in, and that's what I do.
I love it. So, I mean, once you stepped into that area, there was no turning back. You said, I am not going to be able to, with all that I know now, be able to just do what we call the traditional allopathic, westernized type medicine, integrating all that there is, because there's so much knowledge that's out there that are thousands of years older than what we
Absolutely.
use right now. And I love that we're really incorporating it, and it's now no longer called alternative. It's now integrative.
Integrated. Correct. Yes.
Yes.
And it's done in an evidence based way, evidence informed way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All righty. So the day that you decided, tell us, walk us into that mind of the day you said, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I have to open up my own practice. Tell us what was going on in your mind that day.
You know, 5 years ago, I would have never imagined I would have done this. Yeah,
Oh,
I was
wow.
a loyal company,
Mm-hmm.
employee. Um, that's what I was. Um,
Mhm.
but the circumstances, what happened around us in the world, and what I did, and what I experienced,
Mhm.
our experiences and what happens around us always changes us. And my
Mhm.
husband is an entrepreneur from day one. And he would
Mm.
always keep telling me, you need to start something on their own. I'm like, why would I start something? I have a job and I have a routine and I get a paycheck. And why on earth would I do something like that? But
Mhm.
this was not
I
one
love.
day transformation, but this transformation happened over that year or two that I was in
Mm.
fellowship. And when I came out of it, I told him, I'm done. I'm ready. I'm ready to start my own business. And
Did he just
I
laugh?
would have done.
Did he
He
just
was he was
laugh?
he was super happy because he has
Oh.
been. I would keep, why would I do that? He was super happy. And I'm very lucky because he always believed in me more than I
Mm.
believed in myself. And
I
he's a rock. He's a rock in through this entrepreneurial journey. And yeah.
I love it. I love it. We have someone who's asking a question here on LinkedIn. I'll put the question up. Hello, Andrea. Thank you so much for being part of this. So she's saying, hi, ladies. Thank you so much for this talk this morning. I have a question regarding insurance, which I know is something that a lot of people, when they're here about integrative medicine, they have this question. So it says, if someone like myself would like to see a doctor who practices your integrative medicine, is it always good to be out of pocket? Or are there insurance options for someone like myself who is offered insurance options through my employer? So, Dr. Malati, I know that's a great question. I know you do answer that question on your website, but I think with Andrea Velasco, thank you again so much, Andrea, for joining in on this discussion. We'll have Dr. Malati answer this question for you.
Thank you for asking that question, Andrea. Um, Unfortunately, at this time, I
Mm-hmm.
don't accept insurance services.
Mm-hmm.
But my practice is tailored that one can use their HSA or FSA funds
Mm-hmm.
to pay for my services. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, insurance services have not given a lot of focus on the time that we need to spend with clients, which to
Mm-hmm.
me is the most important part of a patient client. I'm not going to say, I mean, a physician client. I'm going to steer away from using the word patients anymore because
Mm-hmm.
not everyone is a patient. Uh, the fundamental part of healing is the the rapport and the time that I spend as a physician with my client. So at this
Mm-hmm.
time, my services are out of pocket.
Yeah. So there are, as you mentioned, Dr. Malati, the beauty of what Dr. Malathi has offered in her services is extended time, therefore extended bonding, and the integrative care. So the integrative care that she provides, it doesn't occur in 10 minutes. It doesn't occur in 12 minutes. And she pairs it with, so you can still see her in addition to your primary care doctor if you want to add that integrative care. And you can also, if she's also very much available to help those who are battling cancer. That's a part that's very dear to her heart, and we'll get into that portion because integrative care is really very paramount during that time. So if someone is battling cancer right now and would love to have this care in addition to there, so she's also working with the oncologist. She's not replacing anyone. She's working along with them to give you this whole total care to increase your chance of being healthy so that you can increase your chance of survival. And this whole thing is for us, even for those who aren't battling, I'm thinking, it's survivorship overall because our health
Absolutely.
is linked to our longevity. And that's part of the care that she provides. I hope this answers your question, Andrea. Let us know if you do have any additional questions, if you want to contact Dr. Malati. She is also on LinkedIn, so you can definitely reach out to her. I'm pretty sure she'll welcome any direct messengers question that you have for her, right? Oh, there.
Absolutely.
Okay, girl, Andrea, girl, you type fast. I'm gonna put up the second half of your question. I love it.
You know,
So Andrew said, that's so great. My partner and I are looking into HSA, which is something we have not ever done before. I'm a certified yoga instructor, but my expertise is in sales and customer service. I've come to find that my insurance provider did not provide integrated medicine. I learned about Ayurveda through my yoga teaching certification from one class. I always wondered more about the affordability. Yes, definitely reach out to Dr. Malati. I love it. I love it, Andrea. Girl, you got some fast typing skills. So, Dr. Malati, do you have anything to add to what Andrea is saying?
thank you for
So,
your interest, Andrea. You can find me at www.ayur, so it's ayur.today. That's my
mm-hmm.
website. And
Yes.
you can feel free to schedule a discovery call with me. Since
Mm-hmm.
it's a medical practitioner, I'm situated in California. It's restricted to people who live in the state of California. But if
Mm-hmm.
you are, then feel free to schedule a discovery call with me. You can also find me on social media. I go by Malti Acharya. On Facebook, I have LinkedIn, and as well as Instagram, where I go by Dr. Malti 2023.
And I think you also have a master class coming up. So I know that Andrea, while you're
Yes.
there, yeah, Dr. Malati has a
Yes,
master class. If you want to it's free. If you want to tell them about that, I know usually we'll do this at the end,
absolutely.
but yeah, let her know.
Absolutely. I'm having a master class on integrative methods of holistic cancer prevention, integrating the mind, body, and spirit. It's coming up on November 9th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. The link, it's on my website. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that you can go in and register for this class, and it's free. If you are someone who values care, holistic treatments, or somebody who is interested, feel free to forward the link over to them.
Love it, love it, love it. So Dr. Malati will also put that link on her in her LinkedIn. So if you want to join that master class there, Andrea, since Andrea is on LinkedIn and she's connecting to us from LinkedIn. So yeah, she'll put that information there so that you can register for that master class and you'll get to be in Dr. Malati's world, and hopefully you'll get to see all the things that she's doing and all the great information that she's providing for us. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Andrea. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Alrighty, so Dr. Malati, I have a question for you. Pertaining burnout. Was there ever a time that you experienced the burnout? And if you did, what did it look like for you?
So, what I understood about the feelings I was having around the
Mm-hmm.
time the pandemic hit us
Mm-hmm.
was I understood them to be feelings of burnout. So
Mm.
they're different. The definitions is uh, you know emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and the third
Mm-hmm.
one is lack of sense of self worth. So my
Right.
burnout manifested principally as that lack of sense of self worth slash self
Mm.
achievement. So that's
Yes.
how, I didn't understand that at that time. And I kept wondering why I was having that thought. But then as I understood the burnout, which is also thanks to my integrative medicine fellowship,
Mm-hmm.
I realized that that was my major symptom of burnout.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I love it. So we know what you did for that. So now, what are some of the techniques that you are integrating, get it, into your life to make sure that you do not go through burnout again? So, what have you integrated into your life?
Though, big changes begin with small steps.
Yes.
Any big
Mm-hmm.
change begins with a series of small steps. So
Mm-hmm.
I important things for me are nutrition. I
Mm.
pay attention to what I eat, my the
Mm-hmm.
whole grains, the vegetables, the eating time. Nutrition is a very big part of health and wellness for me.
Mm-hmm.
Exercise,
Mm-hmm.
you know, regular. I start my work day only at 10 o'clock, but before that, it's time. I do yoga two
Mm-hmm.
times a week. I do strength training. Um, and I also do my aerobic exercises. So, as with everything, I think the best benefit is from mix Eastern tradition with Western. So, yoga plus my Western strength training gives me the maximum
Mm-hmm.
benefit. So, I
Love it.
always I make sure that I do my exercise regimen, meditation, mind body measure. Meditation is
Mm-hmm.
very important for me. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
then paying attention to sleep.
Yes. Dr. Funke, hello. We're still talking about it. Sleep is just so important. Sometimes it eludes us, but it's important. I love what you say, pay attention to it. Because it's one of those things that it's easy for us to start to throw, ah, I don't need.
Or compromise on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But as with anything within our body, as you said, small changes have big impact. You will feel the impact when you're not doing the things that you're supposed to do, such as the small and but yet important thing, such as sleep. So,
I,
as we look at ourselves, like, we're supposed to, one third of our day is supposed to be dedicated to rest.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's paying attention to these little things that's going to bring us
Mm-hmm.
physically, mentally, and emotionally to a state where we are able to look in and find our spirituality, find our meaning and purpose.
Yes.
And the fact that I am doing something that I find meaningful and purpose for the type of practice and starting my own practice and practicing the type of medicine, that is another thing that prevents me from burning out. So
Yep.
it's 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 one composite package. It's not one thing.
Absolutely. Finding the joy in what you're doing, being able to keep that joy through the different steps that you've mentioned, which are some of the foundational steps, right? Rest,
Yeah.
nutrition, and
Nutrition.
movement. Yeah. So I love it, love it. Alrighty, well, now it's time for my fun question of the day. Okay. All right, Dr. Malati. Now you know, if you weren't a doctor, now you have to pull some other stuff out. Okay, so if you weren't a doctor, you're not gonna be a chef. This is gonna be, you're not gonna be a yoga teacher. So not a doctor, not a chef, not a yoga
I don't know if
teacher.
you can guess that, but I'm going to
Oh
see what will
man,
come
that's
up with. I
like,
don't know if you can guess.
I don't know. I'm not gonna be able to put it out. You couldn't. Okay, so if you weren't, and doing your integrative medicine, what would you be?
Detective. If I were
What?
not a doctor, I would have been a detective. You
I
know,
love it.
picking up the small details and putting them together in a systematic way. That's what makes a great detective. It's not just going and
Yes.
sitting on top of a mountain and getting enlightenment. It's putting the little pieces of puzzle together. So
Yes.
I would have been a detective. And you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Medical profession is being a detective.
Oh, it
It's
is.
interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's listening and hearing that one sentence that no one else thought was important, but that was the key to the entire visit. That's medicine. I
Absolutely.
love it. I love it. You and I too. I love detective movies. I love detective shows. I'm watching them all the time.
Yep.
I am the one who's trying to figure out who done it in the first 5 minutes. That's me. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Alrighty. So with that, I know that you did mention to our lovely viewer Andrea about where we can find you. But for those who weren't there at the beginning, and for those who weren't able to capture, where can we find all things Dr. Malathi, all things of Ayor? Integrative medicine, tell them where they can find you, and then also let us know, if you are you taking on new clients, or are you like so booked that you're like, no, I'm just talking to you on this podcast, but I'm not taking on new clients. Like, let us know.
I'm
Are you are
I'm
you having coaching
absolutely
or like
taking on new clients. I'm
Alrighty.
absolutely taking on new clients. If
Mm-hmm.
you are someone who values a holistic approach to, prevention and treatment, if you are a cancer survivor, or you know a friend or a family member who's a cancer survivor and would like to add holistic treatments to what you're
Mm-hmm.
already having, you can find me at my website, www.ayur.today.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find me on Facebook. I go by Malti Acharya, my full name, on LinkedIn as well. And my Instagram handle is Dr. Malti 2023.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much, Dr. Malati, for spending this time with us, taking us on your journey, through how you found additional enlightenment to be able to give to your patient the compassion that you found for yourself during some of the times where we were having a lot of struggles in the pandemic. Our mind was racing. We were able to tame all of that. You found the compassion for yourself, which translated to 10 times the compassion that you were able to give to your patient. So you 10x your compassion. That's exactly what you did. I love it. So before we leave this wonderful conversation, do you have any last minute words or thoughts that you'd love to leave with those who are listening or those who are watching right now?
You know, Self care is the first step for health,
Mm,
wellness, and all other big things.
hmm.
Self care and self compassion are the most important things.
I love it. You heard it here. We tout self-care a lot. Now you understand why. Look at how it transforms lives. And the lives that the self-care transforms is not just the person themselves, but it also transforms their community and all who they're touched. So that's why I think it's just so important. Thank you so much, Dr. Malati. Thank you for being here. Thank you for this wonderful conversation. Thank you, Andrea, in the chat. I hope you were able to get some great info today. Now, I know some of you are jumping on it this last minute and you're like, oh, there she go. You cannot believe this episode is over already. I was just getting into it and I didn't catch the first part. Have no fear. All of this wonderful episode will be available on our Your Caring Docs website. That's URCARINGDOCS.com. Select podcast, you'll see Dr. Malati's beautiful face. Just hit that download button and you'll be able to capture this wonderful episode. If you are a doctor and you said, you know what, I need to let them know about this wonderful thing that I'm doing and my journey can inspire others, I want to be on the show. And I'm like, I would love to have you on. Just send me an email at drbeckford at yourcaringdocs.com to book. Do keep in mind, we are booked out 3 months in advance. And now you understand why. Look at the gems that we got in just this conversation alone, much less all the additional gems that we're going to get from your personal conversation, right? So I can't wait to have you on the show. Thank you so much again, Dr. Malathi. Thank you all who are watching, who are listening. I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bedford. It was wonderful being with you and chatting with you today.
I love it. That's you, my sister. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, my sister.